Well, let's move around a little bit. So let's just sit still where we're at for a moment and just sort of arrive physically, right? Or we've already arrived physically. Let's arrive with our attention. And let's do that by paying attention to the physical signs of sitting where we're sitting, right? Notice where you meet the floor. So notice where the mass of the body meets the mass of the ground. Okay, let's notice our clothing, right? Of course, this will be different for everyone, but every pose is like that. Notice where you feel, basically, we're working from the outside in. We're working from where we feel contact with other things so that we gradually make our way into very fine-tuned differences in how we feel under our skin, right? Under the hood. So notice your clothing for a moment, if there's any places that we can find. Yoga clothing tends to be pretty comfortable. All right, now let's notice the air moving, right? I like a little moving air in general, so I turn the fans on. So notice if you can notice that air moving on the skin, but also find that the aspect of the breath that feels like air moving over the skin. As far as finding the breath and following the breath, which a lot of meditation uses that as its root focus, to me, that's my favorite place and the most natural place for me to find the breath and feel the breath is as a movement of the air, right? It's possible to feel the breath as it changes the belly. There's a lot of different ways to notice the breath or to follow the breath. But like I said, for me, the clearest and the most immediately available is movement of air, right? Usually inside the nose or the rim of the nostrils or the upper lip. And we just get used to returning to that, right? All of our meditation that we do is, let's think of it as a practice of returning. Instead of a practice of holding our attention, let's think of it as a practice of returning our attention. Because in a long enough span of time, we're going to go other places. Our mind is natural and automatic to a large extent. What I mean is it's not under our conscious control. It does and moves, and our mind has a mind of its own, you know? But what we do is not say, bad mind, you know, you're not allowed to do that. We first notice where our natural mind is going to, right? See what it likes. See what its pathways are, because it makes paths. There's certain things that our automatic mind tends to go back to, and we want to know those, because if some are not good for us or some are bumming us out, we can fix those. And we do it in a gentle and compassionate, creative way that's fun for us, not like not with authority and an iron fist smashing down on our old habits, but through realizing with acceptance that certain things we do are better than others, and we make those changes in a natural and wholesome way as opposed to just cutting off something that we love. So notice where your natural mind goes to, and first be aware of where it is. Be aware of what that subject is that your mind is going to, and then bring it back to the feeling of the breath, right? And it happens over and over. Like, oh, I'm thinking about whatever, this harsh conversation I had with a coworker, and then I come back to my breath. Thinking of the song I'm working on, I come back to my breath. It's just our mind slips out in a very, very slippery mechanism. Like, our mind is so sneaky. Like, you'll think you're holding your attention on your breath, but you don't notice your mind moving. You just notice when it's somewhere else. You notice the new destination. So just notice what that destination is. Come back to find the breath. Because this is a good way, even before we start our asana practice, being able to find the breath quickly is going to help us in all aspects of our practice. Okay, awesome. Before we move, or before we change position, notice the upright condition of the upper body. So when we're upright, we do this wonderful architecture of our spine to keep us upright. Our spine is S-curved, right? And everyone's shape is a little bit different. But notice what's keeping you upright, and then hinge it forward from the hips. Is the incense overpowering? Do you want me to open the door a little bit?
No, it's
okay.
Not just a tickle.
Okay. So the reason we try to keep that straight back is because that helps us put it into the hips and legs, right? If we let the back and neck bend, it will sort of absorb all this forward movement. But when we keep tall, we put it where we want it. Now, once you found that in the legs and hips, let's use the hands and arms and walk it around in a circle. Take the upper body around. And we're trying to feel places that feel a little challenging, right? We're trying to get to those places that feel a little stuck or a little dense. I've heard teachers call it dense, finding places in the body that are heavy. Maybe it's achy or feels tight. Maybe it doesn't feel anything at all. That's something else we run into when we're working with our body, is areas of just blankness, sort of. So when we find those, we just spend some time there. We don't have to get bogged down. And don't let it get boring, and don't let it send you to despair. Sometimes pain is like that, and sometimes our body just like, oh God, what am I doing with this thing, you know? If a place is frustrating, move to somewhere else. Let's take a couple circles the other way. All right, let's come on back up to center. And we're going to do that same thing, but while we're keeping our upper body pretty tall, let's just do that with the neck. Okay, notice your shoulders, and we don't want to be rigid, right? We don't want to clamp down with our shoulders, but our shoulders are our base. So our head and our neck can swivel, and our shoulders are the anchor point, okay? So let's gently lower our chin first. Just let the head come to rest at the end of the neck, right? We want to take out all muscular control. Just let the head hang, and then try to keep that soft, like hanging attitude. We want the head just to be heavy forward, and then just circle it to the right. It's like our job is learning how to move softly and more smoothly. We're trying to make a neck circle, but we're trying to do it with fewer muscles involved, right? Not only does that feel good in our muscles to get to rest and it's good to use muscles both ways, to work them by contracting them and by lengthening them, and just by letting them rest on purpose, just not doing anything with them. All of those states are healthy, and it helps to move through all three instead of just sort of getting stuck in one. It helps them to cycle. But also the benefit when we're doing movement is that when our muscles are resting, when our muscles are long, relaxed means to re-lengthen, right? So whenever our muscles are lengthened, then our joints have more possibility. There's more ways to move our body when those muscles are long. All right, let's circle the other direction if we haven't already. Okay, same deal. This time our hips and our shoulders are pretty stable, and the solar plexus is our movement point. Most of the change and most of the stretching is going to be in the back and along the spine, but we'll move this point here just because it's right in front of us. Now let's first poke it out. So poke the solar plexus out in front, and then we're going to circle it to the right, and then back, and to the left. Just make a big circle. Find the border, right? Lean against that place. I've been trying to visualize recently like plexiglass or like a clear boundary of my range of motion, and I'm trying to push into it, right? It goes around the body at the level of the solar plexus, and at every point, we want to be pushing back against that boundary. All right, let's take a few circles the other way. Awesome. Let's go ahead and meet up in tabletop. And we'll take some good cat-cow. Okay. The inhale is going to take our back nice and tall. We're just going to drop our head and point the tailbone down. Right? Inhale up into the big cat. And then a big full exhale, we're going to drop the upper body, tilt the tailbone up, lift the crown of the head. Explore the movements, explore the breathing, and then match them up, right? Find the speed so that a full conscious breath is sending the chest up and the chest down. Okay, let's go ahead and step forward with the right foot. We're going to step our right foot up somewhere outside the right hand. Okay, now the back knee is down. This is the most stable position. So I just like to point it out so that if we're really, if we're in the struggle and we need a moment of rest, just bring that back knee down. Okay? Let's experiment with bringing the back knee up, right? Lift the back knee, and we're just going to let the hips sink, all right? It's the hip stretch. This is the dragon pose or the lizard pose. But go ahead and bring that back knee down if at any point you need a second of rest. And this one is all about letting the weight of the upper body work on the hip. We're just trying to use that push of gravity pulling the upper body down so that it makes some space in the hip joint and all the muscles and tendons and ligaments. Warm them up, get them some use. Okay, if the back knee is still floating, let's go ahead and set it down and let's see if we can bend the elbows a little bit. We'll lower the upper body and see what we can find in the hip. The right hip in particular, but we get length across the top of the left leg too. Okay, let's go ahead and step the left. I'm sorry, that's my right. Let's go ahead and step the right back and we'll go forward with the left. Okay, same deal here. We can pop up that back knee if we want. Drop the hips. If at any point we need to let the back knee back down, that's available. Zoom in. If it feels comfortable and stable to close your eyes and find the hot spot, right? Find the place where you feel the pose more than any others. And that's, for the moment, that's our focus. That's where we're going to keep returning our attention. Okay, let's see if we can bend the elbows at all, right? Lower the upper body, see what you can find. Okay, let's go ahead and step the left back to join the right. And we're going to extend the left leg straight out behind us. Notice what has to happen in the hips and the shoulders to make that work. Okay? Now, on an inhale, we're going to tuck our knee under us, and it's almost like we're making space with the upper body. Arch up into the cat while you tuck your knee under. And then on the exhale, straighten back, straighten the knee, lift the crown of the head a little bit. So it's almost like a cat-cow, but we have that leg tucking in on the inhale and reaching back on the exhale. All right, let's try it for the other side. Okay? Leg goes out straight. Let's get the knee straight. Notice that stabilization that happens in the shoulders and the hips to make this new balance work. And then on the inhale, we'll tuck the knee in, curve up the upper body to make space for the knee. Exhale, straighten the leg. Let the solar plexus drop, lift the heart and the head. Okay, let's set the knee down. And let's have an easy pose again. Let's just have a seat for a moment. And we're going to keep with our hip work here by taking the right foot and taking it out to the right side. Okay? Left foot is going to end up here in front of us. Once you got the legs to their respective sides, make the knees close to 90 degrees. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's just our goal, right? Because when our legs are angled like this, it makes the hips work harder. It's hard. It's more active in the hips. Use your hands and arms to support you here, because the hips, we want to challenge them, but we also don't want to hurt, because the hips can be tender. Okay? So use your hands and arms to navigate. We're going to aim our heart at the left foot and see if we can come forward a little bit. But at the end of the day, where our upper body goes is not as important as how the right hip feels, right? So go in there with your attention and listen to what it has to say as you move and you change. Okay, let's come back upright, and we'll keep the legs where they are for a moment, but let's take our hands just behind the hips, and we're going to lean it back. All right, let's come back to center. And let's swing the legs the other way. So the left will end up in front of us, the right out to the side. We're shooting for something like square in the knees. You can make good use of your hands and arms here. Let's point our heart at the right foot. See where we can go. See what the hips tell us. And if it ever feels like, because sometimes your body will trick you. Sometimes your body's like, well, I guess this is as far as we go. But then you'll notice that you're doing it all with your hips, all with your spine and your neck, like you're sort of curving away from the pose. So say I'm here and my hip doesn't feel much. If I drop my shoulders and lift my heart and lift my head, then the hip's like, oh yeah, there's the pose. I was just kidding. Our body protects us. It's good. It keeps us safe, but it has like fail-safe mechanisms, right, to make sure we don't pull a muscle. It stops before we reach that border. And part of our job when we're doing a more subtle exploration of the body, which is what yoga is like shutting off those defenses and learning, like, a bigger range of motion. And it's bigger because it's more conscious. We've made extra space by paying attention. All right, let's come back upright, and we'll take our hands just behind us and lean it back. See what you can find. Again, using the upper body as weight at the end of the lever, right? The upper body is fueling the space in the lower body. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and take the legs out straight in front of us. And we're going to get our hands just behind the hips, flat to the floor, and we're going to press down like we're trying to lift the hips. Whether the hips leave the floor or not is not important. What's important is a steady, consistent push, right? Lifting towards the sky the whole time you're here. Okay, let's gently bring our seat back to the mat. And we're going to lift up to put space in the back of the body and then fold forward over the hips. Find a position for the upper body that's really productive in the legs, right? And what's productive means it feels a little challenging. It feels a little tight, but that's what we're here for, is to watch that expand and watch that open, because a little bit goes a long way. I mean, it's great to have longer muscles and a more flexible body, but that also immediately translates into a more open emotional and mood environment. Our mind and our moods react to what we do with our body. That's the reason that I do this. That's what I've always needed, is physical ways to access my emotions and my moods, and that's what yoga can do for us. Okay, let's roll it upright. Right, let the back and the neck relax, and we're just going to come upright in a slow growth. Okay, this time, let's put the left leg on the bottom, and we're going to bring that left foot as far around to the right as we can get it. And then the right's going to go on top, and same deal, bring the right foot around towards the left hip. So we're going to try to stack the knees up right in front of us, so they're sort of pointing out in front of us. Okay, now we're going to do sort of a similar thing with the arms. So we'll start out here in front, and left leg's on the bottom, so let's take the left arm on the bottom, cross them way up here under the chin. So the first cross is as high as you can get them. And now bend the elbows and twine the arms together, so that eventually the left hand and the right arm, or the left hand and the right hand, are pushing against one another. And get your hands pushing towards the opposite hand or arm, right? So they're sort of stabilizing by pressing together. Okay? This is the Garudasana, really funny sounding word. That means the eagle pose, and this is our eagle beak here. So push your beak away, and it's steady and consistent, right? Lengthening out. Of course, it's going in the shoulders. We're trying to make space in the shoulders here. So the beak keeps getting longer, and keep it lengthening. Now come up with the elbows. And find a place where you can just keep reaching out with the hands and up with the elbows. Okay? Let's come on down. We'll undo the arms. Let's leave the legs for a second, and we'll just do a little bit of a forward fold here, just to get all that good work in with the hips. Okay, let's roll it up peaceably. And then let's just switch the legs. So this time the right is on the bottom. Right foot's going to come around towards the left hip. And then left. You know, guys know what I'm talking about. I get my left and right mixed up a lot. Cooper, my teacher trainer told me, well, you guys know Cooper. She said when she first started talking, when she first started teaching, she got so frustrated with that, she would just say, do the first side and now do the other side. She just skipped left and right altogether. I think that's smart.
Or she'll say the right and the other right.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's take the arms out in front. We'll take the right on the bottom, cross them way up here, and then twine them together. Okay, now we're pushing the hands into one another, and then get them lengthening, right? Take that eagle beak far out in front of you like a true raptor, and then keep it reaching, and we're going to go up with the elbows, right? Zoom into your shoulders. Feel the shoulders on purpose, because that's why we're here, is to create sensation and pay attention to it. Feel it on purpose. All right, awesome. Let's take the arms apart, and we're going to bring our hands down by the side of the hips, or wherever you want to go to sort of stabilize and help control. Fold it forward, zoom into the hips, and find a place where they're being challenged, but it's not too bad. We feel it, but it's not pain. There's a bigger gap in there than we expect before we start practicing yoga. I find it all the time with my students at school. They're like, oh, that hurts. And then when we take it apart, it's not really pain. It's just it's just sensation, right? All right, awesome. Let's come on back upright. And let's see. Let's go straight back in front of us with the legs again, but this time we're going to cross the left knee over the right. Okay, we'll get some forward fold here. These are my first favorite yoga poses because stretching the back of the legs are the best yoga medicine I found for like anxiety relief and like just calming down a little bit. So let's take the hands and arms up. We're going to use this reach here to lengthen the back of the body. Keep that nice long line as we come forward. Find where that lands in the back of the leg. And then let the upper body come to rest. I'm just going to crack this for a second because the heat is smothering me. Awesome, let's roll it back upright. And then we're going to switch legs. So left is out straight, right crosses over. Let's reach it up. And then hinge forward from the hips. Okay? That's good. Let's roll it up, right? And let's do some standing things. Let's meet up in a standing position. Okay, let's first get a nice wide stance with our toes a little closer than our heels. All right, snowplow, roll the weight out to the outside edges of the feet. Okay? Let's take the hands to the hips, and we're going to get our elbows pulling back towards one another. That's going to keep the front of the body nice and open, and it's going to help us stay long with the upper body. Let's fold it forward. Make the back of the body flat. See if you can make this happen by lengthening through the tailbone and through the crown of the head. So instead of pulling away from the floor, see if you can get tall and long back through the tailbone. And then gently fold in, release that stability with the upper body. You can bring your hands to the mat or to your legs or wherever you would like, just to sort of guide. You definitely want to still feel the challenge, still feel the length for the back of the legs, but use the hands and arms to fine tune and stabilize. All right, let's start to shift side to side a little bit. At first with straight knees still, just shifting, using the upper body and the hips. And then as we send our weight to the right side, bend the right knee a little bit. As we go left, bend the left knee a little bit. Just try to make a little moving sequence out of it here. All right, let's make our way back upright. And we'll step our feet together. In fact, let's step our feet all the way together, and we'll take some palm tree pose here. So it's going to help if there's no space at all between the feet, and we push our heels together. Because pushing our heels in is going to stabilize the back of the body. So heels are spinning in. Let's link our hands and then flip the palms. And then they're going to come up alongside the ears. Find a point to stare at that's not moving, and then lift the heels. All right? Okay, let's land the heels. And then we're going to lower the arms. Let's bend the knees and gradually sit down towards the heels. We're going to use our hands and arms to squeeze our knees together and then release the upper body, letting the back be intentionally long, right? So the line from the tailbone to the crown of the head is long, and also across the shoulders, we're making space in the back of the body. So let's take a few full inhales and exhales, inflating the back. Okay, we're going to turn this into a standing forward fold. So if possible, let's just keep our head and shoulders where they are, but start to gently straighten the knees. Notice when the heels touch down, take a little pause. Let the upper body stay loose and long, and we don't ever have to have straight knees. We just bring our knees to a point where it's possible, right? We feel that stretch in the back of the legs, but it's not overpowering. We just find a way to keep releasing the upper body. For our forward folds, that's something that they all have in common. We work by not working, right? It's like passive work. We're letting the upper body just hang free, but that's putting this wonderful length in the back of the legs. Okay, let's give a little more of a bend to the knees to sort of stabilize us as we come back up, and we'll roll it upright. Okay, and we'll give the feet some space. We're going to do some tree pose. So it'll still help to have something that we stare at, a still point. That's why I go back to the edge of the mat, because the front of the mat is a good point to engage our eyes when we're balancing. But anything will work, a pattern on the floor or something on the wall, anything that is not moving. So for this one, we want our feet just to be standard width, right? So they just feel comfortable. And let's go ahead and bring our hands and arms up alongside the ears, palms together, and then bring the hands down the center line and just let the thumb knuckle here rest against the sternum, okay? We don't have to push, but this keeps our whole upper body sort of moving as one piece, right? It simplifies our balance. Okay, so with both feet flat, shift over the left foot. Right? Feel your left foot sort of receive more than half of the body weight, okay? And when the left foot is feeling strong, we're going to go up onto the right toes, okay? Right knee is pointed straight out to the side. And before we lift our toes, just lift your toes a little bit, right? Make sure that we're balancing and we're just using the right leg to help, right? Make sure the left is doing most of the work. And when the left foot feels strong, we're just going to bring it and prop it inside the right. All right, let's bring the right foot down with control. Shift over the right foot. Feel the right foot get strong and heavy. And then we'll go up onto the left toes. One thing that helps me here too is to lean forward with the front of the hips. Because sometimes if I get bent in half this way, it throws balance off. So a little forward lean with the hips can help. Check in on that right foot. Just tap with your left toes. Make sure you're feeling good. And then when it feels stable, we'll bring the left foot up, prop it in the right. Okay, let's set the left foot down. And we'll release the hands and arms. This time, what shall we do? This time, let's go ahead and have a seat again. And I'm going to bring us some props. We're going to do a couple more moving things before our meditation. But I'll bring you what you need. We're going to be doing some candle meditation today. So we'll have a little flame in front of us. And you can get as closer as far away from it as you would like. Just make yourself comfortable.
Casey,
Yes.
I'm going to have to step out just before we start to meditate.
Okay.
To catch Tina before she starts.
Sure. I put them on the blocks because I notice when I do this at home, sometimes looking back, it's just easier to look straight ahead than it is to look down.
Fans will come on now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you need, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
You have to do me again too, Casey.
Okay.
So,
Mm-hmm. So I'll explain it, it's pretty self-explanatory, but let me introduce it, and then I'll set a timer. We'll take 5 minutes here. So just like all of our other meditations, this has a focus, right? Something that we return to. In this case, it's the flame here. It's beautiful, so that's sort of easier. Also, something I would like for you to notice is how using our attention on purpose and using our concentration on purpose is different when our eyes are open, right? When we did our meditation looking at the wall, it was the same thing. It's just a whole different, eyes open versus eyes closed is a whole different setup for our consciousness and our attention. So just notice that as we, move and shift and change our attention. And just like everything else, we'll notice that we get busy, our attention will go away, and then we'll bring it back and anchor it to our chosen point. Let's make some small movements with our toes and fingers at first, just to get ready to move around again. And the best of me bows to the best in you. Namaste.